Welcome back to the Head and Heart podcast. It is now episode 25, I believe, 26 of the NRL season. As always, I'm the Heart. I'm joined by the Head, and we have a special guest today in the Neck. So, is there any reason why you're the Neck?
I think I play Supercoach with my head, but my betting is with my heart. So it's a bit of a midway point between the head and heart. So I am the neck.
Fair enough. I rate that heavily compared to last week's. Was it the foot?
The
Not,
feet, yeah.
not a fan of that. Not a fan at all.
Mate, absolutely cleaned up the feet, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Let's talk accountability first. How'd you go last round?
Yeah, so I had a lovely 1 from 8, down $50, but again, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah, nice. I didn't have a much better. I didn't have a much better week myself. I went 2 from 5, down $192 from those bets.
So Hart won again.
Stop counting fucking losing weeks as wins just because
I mean, compared to you, that's a win, mate. That I have quite literally made 4 times more profit than you. 4 times more profit than you. Yeah.
you're not making profit though. You just
Okay,
lost.
I had a loss of 4 times less than you. That's more than enough.
Yeah. Congrats, brother. Um, Yeah, let's run through each game of the round though quickly. The first game of the round was the Tigers versus the Seagulls. Do you have a bet in that one?
Yeah, so I had Burnley at a line of negative 24.5 with Saab and Turbo anytime. 22 minutes in, the score is 16-0. I thought I was home. And of course, the Tigers, 34-26 in the end. That is a disgusting performance, and that club owes me money.
Yeah, nice. I didn't have a bet in the game, but didn't really see Tigers winning. So
Yeah, fair enough. Let's move on to the next game then, being the Was 18-34 to the Bulldogs. Did you get on anything at all at Shaun Johnson Stadium?
I had either team 1 to 12. I thought that was an all right bet considering SJ's last game in New Zealand. I thought the Warriors would be up for it, and then not a lot to play for the Bulldogs in this one. But yeah, the Bulldogs pretty consistently keep beating lines that are put out. So yeah, hard to play against them at this point in time. And even I got a few more points in the either team 1 to 12. Didn't help. They still won by 16. What about yourself?
Yeah, I don't know how it happened, but I had an omen bet on the fact that Shaun Johnson would score at Shaun Johnson Stadium with the Wires to win. The Wires played like poo, not a chance.
Nice. Next game of the round was the Broncos versus the Eels. The Broncos ended up getting home in a tight one, 30-24. Did you have a bet in that one?
Yep, I had the Eels line and Sivo anytime. So after that 10th minute, where again they were ahead by 16-0, I thought I was home comfortably. Just turned off the TV and just went to bed. I don't know how the Broncos won that.
Yeah, I don't even think I watched this game. It didn't really excite me, this one. I didn't have a bet on it either way. The next game around was the Raiders versus the Panthers. This was a cracker game. I did see this one. The Raiders won 22-18 in the end. Did you have a bet on that one?
Yeah, so I had Panthers domination, a line of negative 19.5, Bizza anytime. Panthers suck, man.
Yeah, I pretty much the opposite. I had the Raiders plus 9.5 on Sportsbet, and that got home very, very easily. Wish I had a little tickle on the Raiders head to head. Obviously, a Raiders team with probably a lot more to play for than this Panthers team this week, but didn't really see them scraping home. But they managed to find a way in the end to get home over the Panthers. But I think we'll probably see a very different Panthers team this week off the back of that. They're currently sitting third, so they don't even have a home final locked in anymore. So I think the Panthers will be fired up this week.
Yeah, so let's move on to the following game, which is the Storm 48, Dolphins 6. Do you have a tickle?
Yeah, I had the Dolphins plus 14.5. Dolphins were just dreadful in this one. I thought, a Storm team that hasn't really been putting teams away, and a Dolphins team that sort of needed a win didn't need a win, but they probably really would love to win to stay in touching distance with the 8 there, and a Storm team that didn't really need to win. They've already locked up the minor premiership now. If they lost that game, they'd probably still easily lock up a minor premiership. So, yeah, not really what I expected from the game. But what about yourself?
Yeah, okay, riddle me this. I had the Storm to win, but I had 3 try scorers. Please tell me how none of these scored in a 54-point game. I had Paps, Warbrick, and Bostock.
Got a special talent for that type of thing, mate.
Unfortunately true.
The next game of the round was a massive win for our boys. The Knights got up 36-16 over the Rabbitohs. Cracker game to watch this one. Rabbitohs sort of defense looks pretty paper thin around the center sort of position. That's where we Gagai double, Cogger double, Dylan Lucas got one. So yeah, we just ran through them. What did you have in the Knights game?
Well, I predicted correctly the Knights will win by at least 13, but Ponga, where is he? What's he doing? To score some tries.
Mm,
I
yeah,
want more assists. I want him to go over himself.
that might talk to some of our bets for this round. We'll see where that gets into. The next game of the round was the Titans versus the Roosters. We had a conversation before this game, basically saying that the way that we structure both of our bets is a good chance that we both win, betting on opposite teams, and like at least the lines and what we're betting on sort of that came true. I had the Titans over 17.5. They ended up scoring 22 points and still got pumped. So they still lost their line, but got the overs points. So pretty happy with that bet for myself. But what about your bet?
Yep. Okay. So you're gonna love this. I had two try scorers, Young and Tupou any time. They both scored within 30 minutes. I also had the Roosters at a line of negative 29.5, which they had and they covered until the 76th minute of the game. I got completely robbed.
Yeah, actually, that got my bet home as well. That last Titans tries. My bet
Bullshit.
got up.
Totally bullshit.
Unlucky, mate. The last game of the round was the Sharks Dragons game. Sharks won convincingly. The Dragons not looking great right now, and it keeps that top 8 race alive, and for the Knights as well. So got to be pretty happy about that. What did you have in that one?
Yeah, so I had a head-to-head bet on the Dragons to win, but I also did counter this with a bit of a bit of a dig myself. I had a bet at 16-1, which was the Sharks to win with all 4 wingers to score. Did you see what happened with Zach Lomax?
No.
Like he was quite literally through. Like he was through to score the try. If the dude inside him passes the ball to him, he scores. And who is in the way? The referee. The referee full robbed Zach Lomax of a try.
Didn't he score? Sorry, put the ball down over the line.
I don't think he scored.
Yeah, there's another no try as well.
Yeah, there was another no try. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, damn, unlucky, mate. I don't know how, but like every single week, you just have so many bets that you just get screwed by.
I mean, so buy a micro penis, if you will.
Yeah, true. I had either team 1 to 10 on this one. I thought the Dragons would keep it closer with them being in the hunt for the 8. Looking back though, it's a Sharks team that actually was well improved going into that game. They got a few players back, so we're not the best bet from myself in that one. So yeah, ended 2 out of 5, which was annoying. Yeah, still waiting on some of those side bet
I
punishments.
told you, when are we doing the 6, 12, 18, 24 challenge, mate?
Maybe I don't know. I think that's not gonna happen. You're not gonna do that. So
I'm more than willing. We just need to set up a time.
okay. Well, we'll think on that next week, possibly for the last round. We might do some sort of special event and maybe
Do a live stream of me just walking or something.
yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But that'll be addressed next week, I think. Let's talk our Supercoach ranks. I know you've given up yourself there, Hart. But sort of one of the big reasons we've brought the neck on this week is because you're looking at the grand final in our Supercoach league, the head versus the neck. But let's talk ranks. So for myself, finally up into the top 10K, I'm at 8.582. I went up 2.2K last week with a pretty decent 15.48. Obviously, my biggest score of the season, I think. But that's kind of to be expected when you built up the cash to bring in good players at this point of the season. But what about yourself, the neck?
Yeah, I had a pretty close week with you. Still managed to come out on top, so hopefully that's a good omen for next. But I'm 1972 at the moment, and I went up 965 spots. So yeah, it's my highest rank I think so far as a predominantly head-to-head player. So yeah, pretty stoked with that.
Nice. And yeah, we can talk to trades in a second, but you got a few trades in the bank still with that good of a reg. So that's pretty big stuff. Before we talk trades, though, let's talk best bets of the week. First bet of the week is the head, heart, and neck bet of the week. As the head, I'll start us off. My leg for this week is Dylan Edwards, anytime try scorer. I think a Panthers team that probably it has to win comfortably, has to bounce back off the back of last week. And the way that the Rabbitohs have been playing, especially against in the game that I watched, all of our tries against them were coming off the back of shape, and it was just like a Gagai or a Cogger or someone getting that ball and strolling through there for Penrith when they run out of the back of shape like that. It's always Edwards getting that ball. So as long as he runs the ball a couple of times, I think he definitely scores. But then the heart, what do you have as your leg?
Yeah, look, I am sending this one to the rugby league bookmakers, the play writers, if you will. I think the Raiders win this week. I think even though they're strong outsiders against the Roosters, is that right? They're playing the Roosters. Yeah,
Doesn't even know who they're playing, but
okay. Well, I thought so. I just wanted to double check. They're playing good footy, and if they win, it means that the race to the final place in the 8 continues to be 4 or 5 teams right until the final round. So I think the Raiders win, and they will have a chance to make the 8 in the last round.
yeah, I think there's a bit of a recurring theme with some of your bets this week, and then
Indeed.
you think there's like the refs are going to make it so that the final 8 race is more interesting.
I believe in conspiracy theories. I believe that there is a genuine intention from the NRL to make sure that as many teams as possible can make the finals in the final round. Is that too much to say?
I think that's madness, but
Yeah.
anyway, that's now a leg of the.
Tell me, why does Cronulla Sharks, why do they still have their grand final trophy? Tell me why, even though they got caught doping the years before and after. Were they suspiciously clean that one year?
Fucking hell. Anyway, what's the last leg of this bet? The neck.
So I've got Ponga anytime try scorer. He's only got 1 try so far this season. So
Really?
I just don't think I don't think it's possible for Ponga to end on 1. So I think he'll get 1 this game.
I respect that.
Fair enough. Let's talk individual best bets of the round. For myself, I've got the Seagulls plus 4.5. You can get that on Ned's Lads or Ned's Ladbrokes or better for $1.90. I like the Seagulls in particular as they're off a loss. The Dogs are off a few wins. The Dogs have been consistently outperforming lines, so the market's going to continuously push against the Dogs. They're going to be a very public team. So pretty happy to bet against the Dogs, especially when you're getting that plus 4.5 in what I think could be a really exciting game. A Seagulls team that could blow it open. So I'm happy to take the Seagulls plus 4.5 in this one. Hart, what do you have?
Yep. So as I previously said, I think there is a big conspiracy going on in the rugby league to make sure as many teams as possible can make the finals. So I am betting on that, and I'm betting on that big. I am taking on the Eels, the Finns, the Knights, and the Raiders to win in a multi at 47.91.
Love it, mate. Genius bet.
If it gets up, you're doing the 6, 12, 18, 24 challenge with
If
me.
that gets up, I'll do it with you, sure.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Start training, mate.
Start training, yeah, nice.
Yeah, make sure you're testing out the calcium cannon.
Nice. And then the neck, what's your bet?
Yeah, so I've taken the line for Dragons minus 3.5. You can get that on Bet365 for $1.91. Just think Dragons have a lot to play for, and I think Ben Hunt will turn up this game. Hopefully Lomax for a triple.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm with you there actually, because let's talk Supercoach trades of the round. This trade might seem a bit strange if you know what my team is, considering I've got Appy, Coruscant, and Harry Grant in my team. So I'll have 2 bookers not playing this round, but I'm making a trade from Tungo to Lomax. That will be because that gives me exactly 17 players playing this week. I will deliberately not play one of my players this week, and then they'll come in as my AE regardless. So I'll have exactly 17, and Tungo is probably the weakest of my starting 17 that I can trade out. And yeah, I think the Lomax will obviously be a big upgrade in a game that I think the Dragons do win this week. So yeah, happy to go Tungo to Lomax. There's obviously different eventualities where I wouldn't make that trade. Making this trade and having exactly 17 also gives me a free loop. So if I think I'll probably go Val as my VC. If Val goes massive, then I'll almost definitely make this trade. If I'm not going to use the loop, then I might be more inclined to make a different trade, but that'll be a decision for later in the week. What about yourself, the neck?
Yeah, so I'm going Turbo to Teddy. And also with Harry Grant being out, I am going Little. I'd liked Watson. I could have done hands to Watson, but he's unfortunately starting on the bench now. So yeah, I'll go with Little and hopefully bank at least a 60. I preemptively traded since I was so up last week, Lomax in, so I'm a bit spewing seeing that on the run sheet there. But yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it could come down to a couple of players or a captain decision or something like that. Do you have extra players? Like I presume you have more than 17.
Yeah, so I've got, I think, 19 in total. I'll be sitting DCE, most likely, and the rest are either got rested or just aren't worthy of playing. So yeah. Jai Gray's the other one.
Yeah, right. So you won't have that free loop. So
No.
that could be a difference if someone like a Val Holmes goes massive. But obviously, if he doesn't, then you'll probably be in the box seat because I know our teams are very similar. Speaking of Val Holmes, though, let's jump into the first game of the round, which is the Cowboys versus the Storm. Obviously, looking at the team list, it's a very depleted Storm team, and we expected that before the team lists were released. But did we necessarily expect the sort of players to be out that are out? Obviously, not resting players like Cam Munster and Ryan Pappenhausen. In terms of Supercoach, would you be sort of targeting Cowboys players for this round? Nick?
Definitely. I think Holmes would be the obvious VC. Otherwise, you could potentially go Lomax, but I think Holmes went 150 the last time he played Storm, so that's a good omen right there.
Yeah.
Drinky as well is a nice shout. Robson potentially as well as a hooker, but yeah, I just didn't like that trade when I had the opportunity to go Little, I guess. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you would. Why Little over Robson?
Oh, I think Robson has some 40s in him. He can get the attacking stats, but yeah, Little's just solid. He's 60, can nab the try. Doesn't produce too many try assists, but and he's also playing for a starting team next year. So I think he'll run his head off.
Yeah, fair enough. There was did he have a bit of an injury last game or something? I remember.
Yeah, it was like a little shoulder niggle, but as Martin Tyler would say, he's a tough cookie. He'll carry on. So yeah.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, no, I think I would definitely prefer Little if I knew he was 100% fit, but a Robson shout is not the worst thing ever. Yeah, not interested in Drinkwater at all as a little pod instead of Teddy.
No, I traded out Teddy for our matchup 2 weeks ago, and I've regretted it. No, not really regretted, but I've been on my edge of the seat not owning him, so I'm glad I can sleep at night knowing he's back in my side.
Yeah, no, if I had 3 trades, I'd probably be bringing Teddy back in. Just pretty crazy that you have 3 trades still. Yeah, no, but yeah, like you mentioned, definitely Val Holmes probably the easiest vice captain ever. Been killing it recently. Aside from that, yeah, you could go, like, I'm happy for people to be going Cowboys options. Yeah, I cite, like, I have no one else that really interests me. I want someone with a super high upside like a Val Holmes or a Drinkwater, but outside of that, nothing too interesting. Let's talk betting in this one. I'll let the heart take it away because I haven't spoken a little while.
Yep, no worries. So with this team, we know the Storm are depleted. That is not a lie, but I expected them to be far more depleted than that. Did either of you think that they'd be playing Pappenhausen, Munster, Welch, and a couple other players? I'm honestly surprised with that.
Yeah, I thought Pap would be rested for sure when they've got
Yeah.
far longer, so it's a bit interesting.
Look, the way I see it, I genuinely think that $4, I believe it's $4.10 for the Storm is probably a bit too much, a bit too good for how they're playing. I think it is too good a value for how they're playing. From what we've seen, the Storm can and will win games, and no matter who's playing for them by sometimes the tightest of margins. I genuinely think the Storm can get it done, even if they have nobody playing for them. So I'm just taking the Storm head to head here at $4.10.
I think that bet sucks.
I think you suck.
I have the Cowboys. I have the Cowboys minus 11.5. I got that before team lists. Yeah, I did say to a few people to jump on that before team list because now that team lists are out, you get a minus 12.5 at best, I think. Which I'd probably not be keen to take. I didn't really expect the teams to be I expected the team, to be a little bit worse than this, maybe like a Munster or a Pap or even a Wishart rested. So I'm surprised the Storms team is as good as it is, but I'm still very happy to take the minus 11.5 when you factor in the fact this is a Cowboys team trying to probably trying to book a home final and trying to, push their position as much as they can in a tight race for that home final. And obviously it's a Storm team with absolutely nothing to play for now. They've locked in the minor premiership. And then, like we've already mentioned, there's a lot of reserve graders sitting in this team. I think, 10 or so players rested for this one. So, very, very happy to take the Cowboys at an 11.5. 12.5 is maybe pushing it a little bit. I would still, gun to my head, if I had to pick a line, 12.5, I'd still take the Cowboys, but probably not necessarily betting on a 12.5. Let's jump into the next game, the Bulldogs versus the Sea Eagles. A lot of people had plenty of Sea Eagles players. You already mentioned you're not playing DCE and you're trading Tommy Turbo out. Would you suggest that to someone that maybe had less trades to trade Tommy Turbo out? Or would you be holding him if you had only one trade? So,
definitely hold if you had one trade left. I pretty much only traded him out because you have Teddy. So I'm doing a bit of head-to-head strategy here. But, Tommy is on a run. I can easily see him nab a try. I think DCE, his average against the Bulldogs is pretty crazy. But I think statistically the Dogs only let 0.5 or 0.6 on average to halfbacks per minute in terms of Supercoach. So, sitting DC for this one. And I traded him last week knowing it'd be a 1 week play, so I'm a bit salty. And we'll never play him again.
Yeah, I mean, I traded in DC last week as well. I'm going to have to play him. A Dogs team that's obviously been really solid defensively, but I think hopefully Manly will make a decent game of this one after a poor showing last week. I think they'll be fired up in this one. So, definitely can't knock anyone that's still playing Tommy T. I would think the other two fullbacks probably go bigger, but I think Tommy T probably still has a decent week this week, along with any other options that you have there, like a Ruben Garrick, anyone like that. In terms of trade-ins, the highest trade-in player in this game is Matt Burton. Any love for Matt Burton at 645k off 100 odd on the weekend?
I like Matt Burton. I think the Doggies attack as a fan as well, just watching their games, has improved. For example, last week they weren't totally reliant on Sexton. Burton actually was very involved for a lot of our points. So I think he's okay. History doesn't suggest it is. I think the last 3 games against the Eagles, he's struggled to hit over 40. I like it. I like it. There's not many other good options unless you want to go Luai. I think Luai this week would be great shout, despite his score last week. But yeah, otherwise Matt Burton.
Yeah, no, I think in the half position, like there's worse choices you can make, but I think their fixtures have been a little bit easier recently, and yeah, I don't love Matt Burton, but any player that sort of has something to play for him is what I'm sort of targeting now, and I guess they still do have the home final. They could maybe still make the 4, so they have a bit to play for. So Matty Burton is not the worst shout. Maybe prefer someone that's in that tight race for the 8 there. So, yeah, I mean, if Nico Hines is fit, that's a conversation we can have as well. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, otherwise, I don't know. You're a Jacob Carraz owner. That's probably one of the points of difference in our teams. Do you think Jacob Carraz goes well this week?
Initially, I had my doubts, but yeah, I think at the last 2 games at centre, he's tonned up in the absence of Crichton. So for that, I'm holding, and I love Carraz as a player, so happy to have him in my team. I think he'll do me well.
Yeah, I think regardless, he's going to base well.
Yeah.
The only other one, like, because people will be looking for hooker replacements, Reed Marnie, falling to 380k.
Yeah, at that price, he's a good downgrade, but I wouldn't be confident with him. He is fallen from the earth in terms of his scoring output. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not a fan of Reed Marnie at all as an option. Let's talk betting in this one, though. I guess this is the first game you ever bet in, so you can take it away for yourself there, Nick.
Yeah, so I've gone Bulldogs head-to-head. I've taken a lead from the heart. And then I've gone Jarrell Skelton anytime try scorer. So I think with Brooks, Talau, Hopewade, they're a bit smaller bodies. So I think Preston, Carraz, and Skelton just be intimidating. I think they'll rush up, try to shut him off, and I've just envisioned in my head that they'll pass out the back, Sexton to Skelton for a try there. So I've gone Skelton there, and I've gone under 45.5 points for a total of 650 on Sportsbet.
Fair enough. You just think Doggies will be defensively strong, so it'll go unders, or?
Yeah, I don't think there's too many points to blow out teams, apart from the Broncos game, which is a bit of an outlier. But yeah, I think the defense will come strong. I think Curtis Moore and Harry Hayes come off the bench and really pick up for us. I think we may start slow, but I think we'll pick it back up in the end.
Fair enough. The heart, what do you have in this one?
Yeah, the way I see it, I actually have the exact opposite to the neck. I think the Bulldogs are missing 2 pretty key outs, being their captain in Stephen Crichton, the true heart of the team, if you will, and their unsung hero in Kurt Mann. I think Manly will get it done. I think Manly, Turbo, Saab, anytime at $6.75.
Yeah, fair enough. Feels weird to be sort of agreeing with the heart in this one, but I got Manly plus 4.5. That was my best bet of the round. Yeah, like you've already spoken to, a Bulldogs team missing key players, I think, in Stephen Crichton and Kurt Mann. Stephen Crichton, obviously a massive presence for them. Just even outside of how good of a footy player he is, just a massive presence on the field for them. And a Manly team that I think will be desperate to win after a pretty embarrassing output last week. And a Manly team with plenty to play for, pushing for a home final. Not that the Dogs don't have much to play for, but I just really like it. A Manly team that you can get plus 4.5. You can get over an unconverted try in this one. The next game of the round is the Panthers versus the Rabbitohs. A Panthers team off a loss, which is a rare occurrence, and a Rabbitohs team that don't really have anything to play for. So that could have a lot of implications in terms of betting. But let's talk Supercoach first, because some of these Panthers options are going to be become more viable. I'll start from the back, though. Dylan Edwards didn't interest you at all as a fullback option?
Oh, he heavily interested me, but just don't think he had the ceiling of Teddy, and then Teddy the next round has the Rabbitohs, so it's the same matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I had more trades, I'd probably consider another roulette, but yeah.
Fair enough. I know you spoke to Jerome Luai as well. He's not very highly traded in. Obviously, had a low score last week. Do you think that sort of factors into that? Do you think if you had a decent score, you'd be pretty highly traded in this week?
Yeah, I think definitely. It's quite an emotional game, so if someone does terrible last round, usually the traded in percentage is quite lower. It's still not a slam dunk pick, but against the Rabbitohs, yeah, I think it's a risk worth taking.
Yeah, I agree. I think unfortunately at this point of the season, or this round, sorry, there's not really many slam dunk picks in that halfback position, with Nico Hines being not certain being named in the extended. So it's a really tough one, and I think you could go far worse than Jerome Luai at 575k. Yeah, I'm sort of with you. Like on Dylan Edwards as well. Like I think he's a good option without Cleary in the team. He has those big scores, can easily go as big as any of those, but I'm not going to trade out Tedesco or Ponga. So yeah, completely fine options there. Some of these other guys, I mean, Cookie's an all right option at hooker. Yoey's an all right option as well, but it's not an interesting trade. You're not making that trade that trade's not going to win you comp basically. Anyone else that sort of sparks your interest in this game as a trade in?
Yeah, I really like Brian To'o this week. I think looking at his stats, he hasn't scored more than he hasn't he hasn't scored more than how do I word this? Sorry, having a bit of a brain fart, but if he doesn't score 2 games in a row, that's the max number of games he hasn't scored 2 games in a row.
Right.
That's
He always if there's 3 games, he'll score in at least one of them.
Yeah. So this week he's due based on that statistic.
Yeah, nice. That we had the feed on last week, obviously, and he brought up a statistic that Toto only averages 51 without clearing the team, and he did score 47 last week. So I think that's maybe a bit reflective of that. So there's those fears around Toto for mine, and that's why I wouldn't necessarily trade in a Toto versus the Lomax that I'm trading in. And obviously there's the upside of Lomax in the goal kicking as well. So for mine, I just prefer a Lomax, pay an extra 20k to get Lomax, but I can see the appeal with Toto. He's still like only 12% owned, so a bit of a pot. Yeah, not too much else outside of that for myself. I think these Panthers boys would be more highly traded in, but there's that risk as well that they rest players next week. So yeah, you never know.
I don't know. The ladder is pretty tight. If Sharks get up this week, I'm pretty sure they have a better for and against. So and the Dogs are right on their heels. Actually, in saying that, they got a pretty good for and against versus Dogs, so they could. So yeah, I'll retract that statement. But I'm not sure if they do.
Yeah, the Panthers, like, let's just lock it in. Basically, they win. Like the Rabbitohs are super long odds, and they'll go to 38. And yeah, they should they should be able to hold off the Dogs even if they were to lose next week.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the Panthers 4th. I didn't realize. I thought they were 3rd for some reason. So yeah, maybe they'll have to play full strength team next week. So just worse trades for me. Anyway, let's jump into betting in this one. I'll go first for myself. The bet that I had in the head, heart, and neck bet of the week was Edwards anytime. Sort of as I already mentioned, like a lot of our tries came off the back of shape, and it was that center or that half that was on that side just punching through there. I think they're bad defensively, just one out, and I think that's where Edwards will end up a lot of the time. He'll probably pick up a try assist or 2 as well as a try, but at $1.95, I think you can get on bet 365. I'm happy to take that one. The neck though, what do you have in this one?
Yeah, so I've gone for a bit of a multi here. I've got Panthers leading after 20 minutes, Panthers race at 20 points, and Panthers at -9.5. Pick your own line. So that totals to $1.95 on Sportsbet. That was me randomly flicking through, but I think it makes sense.
Yeah, you like the Panthers regardless. And then the heart has to be different. So what do you have in this one? Why do you like?
Yeah, I think you've got to really appreciate this one, Head. I think this is my most ever head bet. So from what we've seen, the Panthers do not like winning big, right? I don't think they've won very many games by 20 plus points. Is that correct?
I mean, they definitely won a lot of games. Like in the last couple of years, they've definitely won a lot of games by 20
This
plus.
year alone, we have seen the Panthers do not know how to close out a game for whatever reason. They will not keep on scoring points. So I'm taking the Rabbits line at 16.5 simply because I don't think the Panthers will outscore them by that much. I think the Panthers will play silly football and keep them in the game.
Yeah, the Panthers this year, I will give you, haven't been as good as some previous years, but they've put some scores on still. So yeah, like it's not impossible, but yeah, I kind of get where you're coming from. So you like the Rabbits?
Yeah, I don't think they'll win, but I think they'll keep it close enough that a line of 16.5 is just an easy bet to make.
You
I
would,
think realistically, the Panthers will probably win anywhere between about 8 and 14, but they won't blow it out.
why wouldn't you take a bet like a Panthers head to head, and then you can get like you can extend that Rabbits line to like a 22.5 or a 24.5?
Mainly because the Panthers lost to the Raiders last week, so I don't really want to get on a line if that ends up happening again.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, if I had to play the line, I'd be definitely playing the Panthers off a loss. I think they'll be super, super fired up, and yeah, plenty to play for. They're not even necessarily locked into the top four, so I think they'll be very fired up for this one. I can't really get behind playing the Rabbits in any sense. But yeah, let's jump on from there. Let's talk the Eels versus the Dragons. The Eels team, I guess you could say, have something to play for. Actually, no, they don't. The Eels team, if they win, it's still a spoon bowl next week against the Tigers. If they lose, it's still a spoon bowl next week. So the Eels genuinely have nothing to play for except for pride in this one, and a Dragons team with everything to play for. Yeah, a Dragons team that's sitting eighth right now, and if they win out, I'm pretty sure that they will make the eight. So yeah, and this game's probably their best opportunity to get a win out of the two, considering they play the Raiders next week, who will be fired up. Let's talk Supercoach though. Yeah, probably the first player we should talk is Zachy Lomax. I'm trading him in, but yeah, do you like the look of Zachy Lomax for this week?
Yeah, I think this is the most slam dunk pick in centre wing.
Yep.
Potentially you could get. Last week, I think he got a 73 with no try, one line break, so a base of 63. And then the potential for tries, he could ton up, I think, quite easily in this game. So yeah, I think he is a great trade-in.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really need to say much more. He's got the base in the goal kicking at a bare minimum, and I think he probably scores in this one very, very due. And a Dragons team that I can speak to my bet a little bit later, but it'll be very similar to your best bet of the round. Yeah, I think a Dragons team that wins comfortably, and to be doing that, Zach Lomax will probably have to have a killer game. So yeah, massive fan of Lomax. Obviously, there isn't that pod factor. He's still like 24% owned. So he's not going to be a pod, but I'm just trying to play to win rounds. And I think he gives me I think he's going to be the highest scoring trade in that I can make this round. And so he's going to bring the highest likelihood that increase my likelihood of winning for this week. The only other high traded in player is Jacob Little, and you're trading him in. Yeah, why was Little the standout? Obviously, you said he has a decent base, but anything else you want to add on Little?
Not really. I just saw last week he ran a lot, which I liked. And Hooker's a bit of a wasteland. I realistically I've had Harry Grant from the start and wanted to finish it with him. But yeah, he's been rested. So I just thought Little was the only option that I'd be comfortable playing in a head-to-head grand final, pretty much.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Yeah, just looking back through his scores, 73, 93, 65, 60, 72, 75, 70, 90. So like he's been absolutely killing it recently and very consistent in that sort of 70 to 90 range. He's going to be a great addition. And yeah, if I was going to make that trade at hookup, which I still might, it'd probably be Little. Yeah, that's obviously dependent on how Val Holmes goes. Yeah, aside from that, I don't really love anything else. People making like little pod plays for like Ben Hunt, Jack Bird, even. And yeah,
I don't mind Jaden Sewer.
Jaden Sewer, really? Oh yeah, 640.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, he but at that price, you'd rather a Yo or something like that. But
yeah,
he can score tries on his day. So.
Yeah, I don't think you should be too worried about the price at this point of the season. You should probably have enough money in the bank that you can get to him. So I don't mind it if you want to go a pod. I'd probably want to have a couple of trades in the bank if I was doing that, but
yeah,
don't mind it at all. Yeah, let's talk betting in this one though, because yeah, probably not jumping on any Eels players. I'll chuck it to the heart because he has to be contrarian as usual. So
Indeed, I'm a contrarian, if you will. If not, I just believe that there is a conspiracy going on in this game. I think we're going to see something absolutely massive. I seriously think that we are going to see an Eels victory against the Dragons. I think the Eels will show up out of nowhere. They want to put on a statement for the Spoon Bowl, and they will take the 2 points in preparation for the biggest game of their career. So I'm going Eels, Sivo anytime at 320.
Yep. We can talk our bets because they're the direct opposite. I've got the Dragons -3.5. Get that on Bet365 at $1.91.
Not happening. Eels win.
Yeah, I think the Dragons are honestly.
Referees do not want the Dragons to win. The game does not want the Dragons to win, mate. It's not happening.
Okay. Outside of conspiracy theories, there's no real good reason the Dragons don't win this game. The Eels have nothing at all to play for, and Dragons have everything to play for to lock in a position in the 8. Public's going to be off the Dragons after some poor performances recently, so even more value sunk into that line. Yeah, and the Dragons, I think they'll understand that at this point of the season they really need to fire up to get this one done. So I think 3.5 is not enough at all. I think they win by 1. Yeah, I'll chuck it to the neck because obviously your best bet was the Dragons -3.5, but I think you've got even more than that in this one.
Yeah, I've gone a bit more risky. Dragons -7.5. Pick your own line. I've got on the theme of Lomax to do well, score 8+ points. So I think a try and 2 conversions done, and anytime try scorer. So that totals for $3.10 on Sportsbet.
Yeah, we'll probably be getting around that pretty heavy because we both own Lomax, although not really because it'll offset each other.
Yeah, unless you vice captain.
Yeah, I'm not going to vice captain him. I'm going to vice captain Val, definitely. I'll give you that sneak peek. Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, maybe it could be an option to vice captain someone later in the week if I'm locked into not doing the like making him a trading instead of the option. So yeah, something to think about. The next game around though is the Dolphins versus the Broncos, 2 teams with lots to play for, in that they can both still make the 8. Dolphins home game, but it doesn't really make a difference. They're both Brisbane teams. In terms of Supercoach, any players from either of these 2 teams sort of standing out to you in that they've sort of both got a lot to play for still?
I like Max Plath for a solid 60, but he's not available in hookup. I think a sneaky one could be Jeremy Marshall King if he comes into the starting side. But unfortunately, with Grant playing the first game, not sure if that's an option for me. But Carrigan, meat and potatoes, 60 plus. Yeah, apart from that, you could get real wild, like Hammer, Farmworth.
Yeah.
Um,
The other one
Adam
I'm going to
Reynolds,
chuck at you.
potentially.
Sorry?
Adam Reynolds,
Yeah, that's the
potentially.
one I was going to chuck at you. He got what? He got 100 and something on the weekend, I think. So there's a few people looking at him as he maybe the best option at halfback, considering he got 122, considering the lack of options at halfback. Broncos team that still are a decent chance to make the 8. Maybe Adam Reynolds is the answer.
Yeah, I don't mind it. But then they do have Storm the last round. But if you're purely going for this week, yeah.
But there's a chance. Obviously, Storm have already locked up the minor premiership. So yeah, just to play devil's advocate, there's a chance that they rest heaps of players next week and Broncos get home easy and Adam Reynolds has another massive one.
Yeah, that's also a fair shout.
Yeah. But yeah, obviously a risky play, knowing that the Storm are resting players this week. There's a good chance that they bring everyone back as a tune-up for the finals. But yeah, I don't know. I think you could go far worse than an Adam Reynolds at halfback. But yeah, for myself, not a trade that I would be wasting right now. You wouldn't go like a DCE to Adam Reynolds or something like that? Use that last trade?
No, if I was to use my last trade, it'd be something real sneaky. Like I think Hines will play. So
yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Hines is probably the one. To be fair, even returning from injury, he has like 100+ scores. So yeah, if you can get to Hines, probably the move if he does end up playing. Yeah, outside of Adam Reynolds, there's not really much that interests me in this one. I'm just trying to think.
Selwyn Cobbo actually interests me looking at the team.
Oh yeah, 513K, yeah.
He's a lot of scores in the centers, but on the wing, he can go huge. So
yeah, fair. That would be another sort of little pod play. But have pretty big nuts to make that move, I think, as compared to like a low nuts move or someone like that. My nuts are not that big. Yeah, outside of that, probably not too much. Let's just talk bets in this game. I think yourself and I don't have anything, so we'll just leave it to the heart. What do you have in this one?
Yeah, look, I think the Dolphins do have it in the bag to upset the Broncos. They've never actually beaten them in the past, but I think it's time for them to beat their big brother. Even though I think their forward pack's not great, but even then I'm taking them and Bostock anytime at 433.
Right. Any particular reason you think they win, or
Just the vibe. I'm telling you, like it is quite literally the bookmakers want this team to make it. They want them to win, so the Knights game against the Finns will effectively be a knockout for the top 8 spot. I'm telling you, it's happening.
but the Broncos are still in as a shout to make the 8 as well. So
yeah, but that means the game against the Knights, if the Knights also win, would be a straight knockout. So I think that's going to happen.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I'm not betting in a game for the factor of just two teams really pushing for the 8. I think probably if I had to pick a team, it's the Broncos, hence because they've got that 7.5 line. I'm not really keen on playing either team. Would you echo those sentiments in this one, Nick?
Yeah, I couldn't really split the two. Both have key injuries. I think Nicarima's out for the Dolphins. So yeah, I'm leaving this one.
Fair enough. Next game of the round is the Sharks versus the Warriors. Sharkies home game of Warriors off a loss in what was their last home game of the season. Probably pretty demoralizing loss.
Pretty pathetic game.
Supercoach wise, we'll talk to the main man himself, Nico Hines. You said you think he plays. Do you have any inside goss, or that's just a vibe thing?
I paid $1 subscription for Code, and they've indicated he would be in the early mail. So yeah, I don't think he'd be named in the extended. Otherwise, I mean, they don't really need to throw off the Warriors, really, do they? But yeah, although I do remember last couple games, Nico didn't do that well, and Trindle was actually more dominant. and Nico. So it could be the same story, especially returning from a big injury. But yeah, it's a pretty depleted Warriors side. So yeah, I don't mind it.
Yeah, yeah. If he's named, I probably could get around going to him. I am not as sold that he will be named. Like you mentioned, they're not playing mind games. They don't need to name him in the extended, but he's probably just named there because he'll need to pass sort of a game day fitness test. So like it could go either way. Probably if I had to tip, like I would say he will be named, but yeah, like I wouldn't sort of lock it into your plans of getting Nico Hines in because there's so much that can go wrong in that. Yeah, if you can find a way to make your trades work that you can make that game day decision on Nico, then sure, go for it. But yeah, I think that's a lot easier said than done with this being one of the later games in the round. You won't be able to trade out a lot of players to get to Nico. So it's going to be a difficult trade to make. Like for example, your DCEs or your Adam Reynolds or someone like that you own. You obviously you can't really trade them out because you don't have that security on Nico, whether he'll play or not. Outside of that, Britton Nakora, would you be trading in someone like Britton Nakora?
Yeah, definitely. I sat him last week just because I won my head-to-head and played Lomax. But I've had him for a while now. He was prone to some 40s, but I think recently he's turned it up. So, yeah, definitely a great trade. And especially if Hines comes back, that just helps even more than what he's currently scoring.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm a fan. He seems like he's taking on a heap of work for them. So, yeah, can't really knock anyone being on Nicola. I'd already locked up a win by the last by that game, but I had Nicola and Eero in that last game, and they both brought me home over the 1,500 mark. So was pretty happy about that final result. So yeah, definitely can't knock anyone bringing in Nicola. I'm just trying to think if there's a better trade in the second row this week. Probably not necessarily. Maybe Gus Crine is probably the one, but we can talk to that when we get into that game. Let's talk betting in this one. The Heart, what do you have in this one?
Yeah, look, I think the Warriors, as the next set, they are both morally and physically depleted. There may be a chance of a bit of extra Hines showing up in this team. I think that it's just a safe bet to take the Sharks at a line of negative 19.5, with both wingers being Stone Street and Katoa to score at 475.
Nice. And the neck, what do you have?
I've got a minus 13.5 pick your own line for the Sharks, and I've got Eero anytime try scorer for 375 on Sportsbet.
Not bad.
Yeah. Eero's been scoring a fair bit recently, so I can see it.
And then Chance as well, playing right centre, and that's SJ's side too. So yeah,
Fair enough.
I like it.
Yeah, for myself, nothing in this game. Sharks team, like a Warriors team with nothing to play for. Sharks team trying to lock in that top 4 spot. So momentum edge to the Sharks. So if you had to pick a team, it's the Sharks. But line's massive line, so not really keen on playing either team. Let's jump into the next game: the Knights versus the Titans.
As always, game of the round.
Game of the round. Knights team that trying to push for a spot in the 8. We have a pretty good Titans Dolphins last 2, so we have a pretty good chance of still making the 8. And I think that'll have big implications on Supercoach and betting. I think probably your captain choices might come from these last 2 games. Is Kalen Ponga a captain choice for you in this one?
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, very tempted to straight see him. So yeah, I think it'll be either Ponga, Teddy, or Val if you vice.
Yep. I'm with you there 100%. I think Ponga's due for a big one. So yeah, for mine it'll be Ponga or Teddy in this one. yeah, I've obviously will have that free loop on a vice. So if my vice does go well, I don't have to think about it. But yeah, Ponga, Teddy could both go absolutely huge. I could get really naughty and go like a Ponga vice into a Teddy cap. Oh no, I couldn't. Don't worry. I was thinking. Um, yeah, no, but so it'd have to be Ponga or Teddy captain because they're both in the fullback position. And yeah, I guess you'd get around either. Let's have that conversation though. Ponga versus Teddy. Who do you like more and sort of why at this point in time?
I think with Bradman best back on the left, they could start. They focus right, but I think they could more even that out now. And last week, I believe it was the Titans' right-hand side that got battered by the Roosters. So Ponga floating that left with best could see some big scores there. Goal kicking as well, but it's hard because Teddy last game got 150 versus Canberra. So I think if we have different captains, it could be the deciding factor, to be honest. And yeah, a bit of a coin toss. I think on averages you go with Teddy on the stats, but my heart's saying Ponga.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there, sort of 100%. Obviously, Teddy's been the safe captain pick. Like I've had him captain pretty much every week, the past sort of 4 or 5 weeks. Well, since I've traded him in, and it's obviously done me well. Not 4 or 5 weeks, 3 weeks. Yeah, like so. So there's obviously that's 100% safe pick, but on top of what you said, it's a Knights team versus a Gold Coast team that's probably given up, and a Knights team that sort of needs to win versus a Roosters team. They are coming second now. They don't necessarily need to win with that super strong points difference versus a Raiders team that's still in the hunt for the 8 that could show up and put in a really good performance here. A Raiders team also that beat and mostly full strength Panthers team last week, if you want to factor that in. So there's plenty, like, while obviously Teddy would be the sort of, if you weren't thinking too much, the obvious choice. Yeah, I think there's plenty of positives to jump on that in this one. In terms of trade ins though, Dane Gagai with a massive score on the weekend. Interested at all, or?
Yeah, very interested to be honest. But I think that would have been a slam dunk pick, but Bradman Best coming back worries me a bit in terms of them not going as right. Also, Greg Marzio every week, like everyone in our league has him, and I don't. Fortunately, I did jump on him, but he still terrifies me. Just knowing what he can do. But the stats say I shouldn't be. But yeah, I think. Yeah. Other than that, Bo Firma could be an interesting one. Jaden Campbell, I've always scared of, but
you don't know JC?
No, I don't. I went Jai Gray instead of JC.
That's right. Yeah, so there's a few plays. I've got Marzu and Jaden Campbell. So yeah, a few plays in this game that could maybe make a difference if they go well or poorly. So that will be an interesting watch. I hope, yeah, like you mentioned, Marzu goes a little bit better with Best in the team there. Hopefully they go left a little bit more and Best, breaks through and just pops on over to Marzu to score. Yeah, I guess I sort of agree with you in that I'm not trading in Dane Gagai because I don't see as much appeal with Best in the team, with them possibly going left a little bit more. But yeah, I think there's definitely worse trades you can make. Gagai bases really well. So yeah, he's going to have at least that base. And like we saw on the weekend, he has the potential for some upside as well. This Titans team's been conceding a fuck ton of points. So yeah, definitely appeal with Gagai, but not for me. Anyone else at all? Cogger?
Yeah, Cogger. Cogger's the ultimate pod play. I think that would be a move inspired by the heart, to be honest. So
good work.
Yeah,
good work.
120 on the weekend. Nah, but obviously that was assisted by a double, and we won very convincingly. And as much as I love the Knights, we're maybe not necessarily going to have that. Like, we haven't been amazing this year, so it will be incredibly risky play to jump on Cogger. But if you want a little pod, he's 0.8% owned. Nah, but let's talk betting in this one. You boys will have to take it away because I don't like betting on Knights games. So what do you have in this one, Maha?
Yeah, so I think the Knights probably win comfortably. I'm taking the Knights with Ponga, Best, and Sharp anytime. If it does go left, I'm not sure if the ball's going from Best to Marzu, to be honest. Especially in his game back, I think he'd rather just run it himself. That is together at $9.50, so I think that's massive value there. What about yourself, Nick?
Yeah, so I've gone a similar boat with Ponga anytime try scorer, but I've also got David Fafita try scorer. In my heart, I think he's due, and I imagine Desi could do a late switch. I think Fermor played on the left last game, but I can see Fafita just running it straight at Cogger and going over. And Knights head-to-head for $12.75, which I don't mind.
Yeah, not too bad. Oh, yeah, keep in mind as well, the Knights are playing two completely different second rowers this week as well.
Yeah.
Frizzell got knocked out last week, and did you see Kai Pearce-Paul's absolutely massive gash?
Yeah.
I heard it was a shark bite, like according to
It
the
may as
NRL
well have been
video.
effectively. Like, it was quite literally a 20-centimeter long laceration. Like, he just had to go straight to the hospital to get it closed.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's not going to play this week, but I think he's got an excuse.
Yeah, Brody Jones is a beast though. So
yeah, I mean he's got no turning circle though. If Fafita runs maybe about a meter to the right of him, I don't think Brody Jones can keep up.
Yeah, if Fafita's running at Brody Jones, I'll probably take Fafita to score any day of the week. So if I can get decent value on him, I'd probably jump on Fafita as well. So I don't mind that. You're both on Ponga, boys. Any particular justification apart from his due?
Well, as the next set, he's due. Like, he's only scored one try this year. He's playing great footy, but he just hasn't scored a try. Well, he scored a try, that's it.
Yeah, I think Foran's a bit older, so I think he steps forward again for a try, like he did a couple of years ago.
Oh, also, Jaden Campbell is awful defensively as well. We've seen Ponga absolutely destroy Jaden Campbell this year. It's going to happen again.
Fair enough. Be happy for the Knights to win, so I wouldn't be complaining if any of that happened. Let's jump into the last game of the round, though, the Roosters versus the Raiders to close off the round. And I think we'll have some differing opinions on how this one will go. But let's talk Supercoach first. Obviously,
what's so funny, Nick?
Obviously,
I think I agree with the head statement there, and I was playfully laughing there. So I'm keen for the upcoming debate.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at the run sheet here. It's an interesting bet in, but you've already sort of spoken to it. But before we get into that, let's talk Supercoach. You don't really need to speak to Tedesco. He's going to be a good captain option. It's just how big your balls are, whether you pick like a Ponga or a Tedesco in this one. Let's talk to trade ins. Gussie Crichton is the highest traded in player in this game. You think it's the week to jump on Gussie Crichton?
Yeah, I think it has been all season. He's been quiet maybe the last, month-ish, potentially before this game. But, yeah, he's a no-brainer. I think he's the number one second row forward for a reason. So
Yeah, I jumped on him, not for last week, but the week before. And, yeah, I was pretty confident that he'd have a score like he did last week in him at some point. And yeah, just very fortunate that it happened last week and helped sort of secure that win for myself. Yeah, just I know the bloke I was playing for a point of difference. He was he kept Dylan Lucas, and then Dylan Lucas went okay, and I was like a little bit worried, and then obviously Gussie Crichton went absolutely massive. I don't think we need to really justify that as a trade-in. I think it's fairly obvious. One that you might have to justify a little bit more though. Sam Walker. Would you be keen on Sam Walker, especially if it's Nico doesn't play and you're looking for a halfback after that game? Would you be jumping on Sam Walker?
I'm an owner. I still would. Other halfback options, I just don't. With Hughes out, there's just not many that can go as big as Sam. He's pretty much all attacking stats though, which is worrying for a head-to-head grand final. But I think last time he played the Raiders, he turned up, so he can go well. It's just a matter of can he score a try, put on try assists, and just quietly, he has turned into a fantastic goal kicker. I don't know. It's just the last game I watched, but yeah, he was hitting him really well.
Yeah. His goal kicking has been good recently. But yeah, I've owned him at points in the season. It's just like he's probably one of the scarier players in the game to watch. He has really low scores in him if the Roosters aren't scoring well. For mine, I think there's better trade-ins at the halfback position for this week, just because I think the Raiders will go okay in this one. I don't see them winning, as some people might, but yeah, I think they'll go okay considering they're still pushing for the 8. So yeah, possibly the Roosters don't put on as many points, and yeah, there's not that massive high upside in his goal kicking there. But in saying that, like occasionally he just puts on a couple of try assists as well. Honestly, I feel like it's pretty random when he goes big, so he could be a difference maker in the end. Outside of that, anyone else like a Joey Manu, someone like that interests you?
Yeah, Joey Manu is very interesting. He has also bottomed out. So with one trade left, I can actually go Karapani to Manu if I wanted to. We get rid of my A nightmare.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, a bit like Walker, he can go big, but if he doesn't get those attacking stats, he will give you a 30 or a 40.
Yeah.
So yeah, for a head-to-head grand final, maybe not. Versus Sebastian Chris, I don't mind it. But yeah, Dom Young, safe play. I like Tupu better than Manu as well. But yeah, not a bad shout.
Yeah, I'm not super around Manu. Same sort of reasons I've already spoken to, but yeah, I feel like there's players that are sort of immune to those poor scores, and that's like your Tedesco, your Pride, and I think those sort of players are the slam dunk ones that you want to get in. Whereas the Sam Walker, Joey Manu is sort of more up and down. Anyone else at all? People still trading in Tarpany, but that's just an obvious sort of front row forward option. Anyone else? Satili Tupanua had a good game. He's off the bench.
Yeah. Hudson Young, shout out to Gundy. But yeah, against the Roosters this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, against the Roosters, I wouldn't be doing it. And yeah, apart from that, no one actually on the Raiders. If Starling kept 80, I would have looked at him, but his minutes have dropped. So
yeah. There's still bets in this one, and the heart has to stir the pot again. What is your bet in this one, mate?
Raiders are winning. No comment. That's all I need to say. Raiders 5-10. Too much money on the table. You win it. Put your house on it. Raiders win.
5-10, yeah, mate. Can't believe you're getting those crazy odds on the Raiders.
Genuinely insane odds. Like it should be about maybe $3. Like the Raiders aren't that bad. They beat the Panthers last week.
Yeah. That's probably the exact reason I wouldn't be keen on betting on them. I think the Roosters aren't going to underestimate them. In saying that, I do have the Roosters 1-24. You get that on tab at a minimum of $1.85. Chuck that in a multi like a Roosters head-to-head and a Raiders plus 24.5. I think you can get a boost and get even more than $1.85. I don't think there's a situation where the Roosters don't really win this game. Roosters still with plenty to play for, trying to lock in a home final. And yeah, bare minimum at least lock in a top 4 spot. So plenty to play for them. I think because the Raiders do have a bit to play for and they're a chance to make the 8. I think they do get up for it and hopefully keep it a little bit close, but I don't buy into the fact that they beat the Panthers, therefore they're going to beat the Roosters this week. Yeah, can't get around that at all. So happy to take the Roosters 1-24 in this one. Anything to add in this game, Nick? Which sort of side do you lean in out of the two of us?
I think I'm gonna have to go with the head here on this one.
Boo.
I think Raiders. I don't think they have a chance. You just always Roosters versus bottom 8 sides seem to just dominate.
Hudson Young will prove you wrong with a double. Just you watch.
I think Savage could go. Savage had a great game last week. I think he could back it up. He might be a chance to carry the Raiders, but yeah, no, I think the Roosters will be too good for this one.
Very likely, yes. But
Fair enough.
I'm telling you, they've got a chance.
That's the last game of the round. Anything to add, Supercoach wise? Neck, obviously you've come all this way. We're in the grand final now. I think you're a shout to be first head to head as well. So I know in our comp there'll be some money coming your way regardless of how things end up. So any sort of last words, Supercoach or betting wise?
Not really. Just good luck. You'll need it. I think the last 13 games ever since I set up the rivals, I'm 11-2 versus you and 5-0 in the last 5. So I'm keen. I'm keen to make it 6-0, mate.
That is massive words.
I mean, I'm keen to follow the pattern. I looked back through the times we've played this year. Obviously, 2 times in the regular season, and we played the first round of finals because it was first versus fourth. And I lost that one, obviously, but you won the first time we played in round 2. I won in round 16, I think it was. Then you won the first round of finals. So following the pattern, I think we know who wins this one. But
bit of a dragons about you there.
Yeah, no. But yeah, obviously, you got a couple of trades, so I think with the trades I'm making, trades you're making, it'll make our teams pretty similar. So it'll be exciting those couple of players that make the difference. So should be a cracker. Best of luck to you. Anything else to add the heart, mate?
Can I say it?
Yeah, you can say it. Go on.
In the arse.
No, that's not what I meant.
I think the Knights Titans game will be a good one to watch.
Yeah.
How
do you feel about the
head-to-head
doggies
final.
having their best year in quite literally 10 years?
You couldn't be happy as a Bulldogs fan. I mean, since before 2015, the Dogs were accustomed to making the finals every year just to shoe in. And then I think we paid Aaron Woods to stay like half a season at the club, $800K, and everything went downhill from there. But we're finally back. In Ciro we trust, and yeah, boys are just playing for each other. So I think the Dogs win again this week. And I'll be purchasing grand final tickets as well.
It could be if Knights sneak in, could be a Dogs Knights final, first week of the finals.
What a turnaround, though. You've got 4 games where there's a turnaround of what? 400 point swing after the 4-game period. Is that not insane? Like, you guys beat us by 70 combined this year. The year prior, we beat you by 120.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I think if you watch the first 2 rounds, you would have thought the Dogs be spoon contenders. But I think since then, there was a stat along the lines of we haven't lost by more than 6 to 8 or something like that. It's something really small, like 1 to 12-ish. So yeah, just defense wins games apparently. And Karaz will save me as well this week. I'm backing him in for a big one.
Yeah, nice. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Cheers for coming on, Nick.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me in the heart. Pleasure.
Cheers, mate. Look out for big things for next week as well, because the last round we might do like a live stream or something like that. So that could get rowdy. But that's everything. We'll go fuck ourselves.